Hey, it's Neville here, and today we're going to talk about copywriting exercises. These are 9 of my best tips to get better at copywriting. Some of these have to be done on their own, and some of these can be done while you're driving. So let's get started. Copywriting exercise number 1 is mental ad rewriting. This means that whenever you see an ad, you think to yourself, how can I make this ad better? So let's say you're driving down the street and you see a McDonald's billboard and it says, think big, and there's a picture of a Big Mac. Well, in your head, you should think, how would I make this billboard better? Maybe I would say, think big, get a Big Mac at McDonald's in 2 miles. That is a mental ad rewrite. I would do this all the time in that Sky Mall magazine. Remember Sky Mall on the planes? You would see something and it would describe it like a dog water bowl that's automatic. And I would say, how could I make this better? And I would just mentally think like, what could I add that would make someone want to buy this? You could do this with Google AdWords, Facebook ads, Instagram ads, just thinking mentally how you would make something better. Anytime you see a magazine advertisement, what could they add in there or subtract that would make you buy that product or be more interested in that product? That is mental ad rewriting, and you could do it anywhere, anytime, and you don't have to have any equipment. Copywriting exercise number 2, keep your own swipe file. A swipe file is a folder you keep cool advertisements or cool pieces of copy in. A swipe file can be digital, it can be physical, it doesn't really matter. I have a swipe file on my desktop computer. So anytime I see an ad that makes me go like, whoa, or something I think is really cool, or a page that I really, really like and want to emulate later, I take a screenshot of it and drag it into my swipe file folder. I also keep a swipe file folder on my phone. And nowadays, this is pretty important because most people are browsing the web with their phone. Therefore, a lot of ads are on the phone. So I just hit the screenshot button and save it to a folder called swipe file. Now, what is supposed to go in a swipe file? Well, I always save things that make me click on them. I save things that make me sign up to them very well. I save things that make me laugh. And I also save things that make me go, whoa, like, I just learned something new from this advertisement. That was pretty cool. Screenshot, put it in a swipe file. Now, the purpose of the swipe file is that later, when you're trying to think of something and you're running out of ideas, you can go back to your swipe file and just start boop, 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 browsing through it and get ideas right away. So for example, if I'm trying to write a sales page and I'm down to the pricing part and I'm kind of, blanking, running out of ideas, I just go to my swipe file and there's a section called pricing that I can look through and see how other people are structuring their pricing pages. And then I could take some inspiration or just flat out copy some of those. So make sure to keep your own swipe file. And if you don't have yours already and you want my own personal swipe file, you can go to swipefile.io and I have my entire swipe file there for free for everyone to use. Copywriting exercise number 3, state the benefits, not the features. Now, there's a lot of talk about benefits versus features, but here, I'll show you an example of a software company that's using a feature on their page. That's very confusing. It says, our software can handle multiple core structures of data at the same time, which means during increased load time, the server will be stable. Okay, that's kind of a feature. That's something an engineer would be really proud that he created. But what do we do if it's a benefit? Let's turn that into a benefit. So this exercise is turning that feature that's very complex into an easy understand benefit. So the benefit would be, even if your site gets featured on the front page of CNN and brings in 300,000 visits per hour, your site won't go down. See, that is a benefit that people can understand in real life. So here's a combination of exercises. This is the mental ad rewriting and the state the benefits, not the feature exercise. This one I saw for Southwest Airlines. I was in the airport and I saw this big poster and it said, get 50,000 points for signing up to our members program. So that's all. It just had a logo and that statement. But in my head, I was like, wait, is 50,000 points a lot? Or is that a little? Like, can I fly around the world or can I just take one trip? Like, how much is 50,000 points? So the way I would turn that feature into a benefit is by tacking on this sentence. So the whole thing would sound like this. Get 50,000 points for signing up to our members program. That's enough for 2 free round trip tickets to anywhere in the United States. See, now we told the customer what they're going to get if they get those 50,000 points. So it makes a little more sense in their head. Copywriting exercise number 4, trim, trim, trim. Now, the whole goal of copywriting is to take information from one brain and transmit it to a bunch of other brains. The point of copywriting is not to hit a certain length on an article. The point of copywriting is not to be all fancy. It's to get information from one brain to another. And therefore, if we can make that information shorter and more concise, even better. One of my favorite quotes from Joe Sugarman is, "Long copy is okay, long-winded copy is not okay." So let's take some long-winded copy and make it into a very trim and concise thing. So here's a long-winded version for an aviation company. "We have higher expectations for ourselves and would like to introduce you to our offering, which contains a variety of tools and services for the aviation industry. Our primary purpose is to use computer solutions to make aviation more comfortable and safe for the command and blah, 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 blah." Boring. Very, very long-winded. Let's trim it down one level. This means we just go through that text we just wrote and trim out some parts that aren't super necessary. So the trimmed down version would be, "Our primary purpose is to use computer solutions to make flying safer and more comfortable for every passenger of an airplane." Okay, cool. Now let's take that one and trim it down one more time. And it would sound like, "We make software that automatically flies planes." Now, that trimmed down version could actually fit in a tweet, it's so short. It can instantly be understood by the other person without all that other filler. So anytime you see a long-winded piece of copy, think how you would distill it down and then distill it down even more. And then at that little nugget, you have the real basic gist of all that copy. Copywriting exercise number 5, hand copying famous ads. So if you want to learn to write like someone, let's say you want to learn to write like Warren Buffett, guess what? There's a really easy way to do it. You take Warren Buffett's writings, maybe his members to his shareholders, and you physically start copying it down on a piece of paper. It's best to handwrite this so you get the visceral feel of it, but you could also type it if you want. So basically you just copy exactly everything he says. And what you're going to notice is how he uses punctuation, how he spaces his words, how he uses periods, when he enters a paragraph to add a little bit of space, when he uses bullet points, how he talks. You're going to learn all these things and start picking up the Buffett way of writing by just copying what he wrote. In the beginning of my copywriting career, this was something I did very, very frequently. I would take famous ads. In fact, I even blew them up and put them on my wall, and I would hand write them to see how they wrote. One of the things I noticed was that the sentences were very short. I tended to use long sentences at first, and I noticed a lot of these advertisements used relatively short sentences that were very easy to understand and very punchy. And this quickly taught me to write like that. So I would highly encourage you to copy down famous advertisements, at least try it 1 or 2 times to get the feel for it. Copywriting exercise number 6, push the boundaries a bit. So a lot of people play it way too safe when it comes to writing an article. And what does safe mean? Safe is generally boring. And if you're trying to compete in a world full of attention-filled grabbing things, you've got to sex it up a bit. So let's type in version 1. This is a boring tone of an article. In marketing, you need to convey your point across to the desired target. You need to ensure your message is targeted and differentiated from the rest of the crowd. This can be accomplished by analyzing the competition in your industry and being different. Okay, that's a very safe way to word this paragraph and this article, but let's see if we could sex it up a little bit. If your advertisements are the exact same as all of your boring as hell competition, something is wrong. Let's change this up for you. Bam. That is a little bit more casual sounding. It's not way off the wall, but it is a little bit more interesting and fun and energetic to read. Do you remember in school, you probably had a bunch of teachers, and there were some teachers that were really boring and just kind of taught you the information that you needed to know for that day. And they said, George Washington was this, and Abraham Lincoln was this, and that's all they taught you. But there's some teachers that really took it to the next level, and they're like, guess what George Washington did? You will not believe this. And you're kind of on the edge of your seat waiting to hear what George Washington did. And the way they tell the same information can make the students remember it or just totally forget it and hate it. That's why I say push the boundaries a bit. You will learn very quickly if your market is receptive to it or not. Copywriting exercise number 7, Read your copy out loud. This is a very, very transformational exercise. The reason most people have trouble writing is because it's a very unnatural thing to write. Think about it. You sit down at a desk, you are looking at a screen, you are typing on a keyboard, you are using a mouse, and you are trying to convey information that otherwise would be spoken. If you speak to your friend, you don't sit down to a keyboard and go, "Dear sirs, to whom it may concern." No, you say like, "Hey, what's up, Bob?" So the important thing is to read your copy out loud to see if it actually translates to speaking. If you read a lot of articles and read them out loud to a crowd, it would obviously sound like you're reading an article. Instead, read your copy out loud. Do it at your desk, do it into a microphone. What I like to do is take my iPhone and talk into it, and then I just transcribe those words, and that automatically kicks me off with writing a really good article. So if you are having trouble with your copy or are not sure if it's a good article, read it out loud, and if it's boring as hell, maybe you got to push the boundaries a little bit more. So read it out loud, record it, and listen to it, and it will really instantly tell you if you got a good article or not. Copywriting exercise number 8, wear earplugs. I love this one. I would say an 1/8 or a 1/10 of my waking hours is spent with earplugs on. Why? Because there's something about putting in earplugs and they tune out the rest of the world. So whenever I sit down to write, it's like, I don't know how to explain this, but it feels like I'm in my own head. Whereas if I'm in an office setting and someone's on the phone in the background and there's kind of like some music going on with words in it, and I can hear the drone of cars going on outside, and someone says, "Hey, what's up?" All those things distract my brain. So for a lot of people, I've given them earplugs as gifts, and they say they use them all the time. There's obvious uses for like using them on planes and using them for sleeping, but I would contend that if you are a writer and you wear earplugs, you will get better writing done with earplugs on. So I'd highly recommend you grab a pair and just roll them up, put them in your ear, and all of a sudden you're in your own world and go to town typing. Copywriting exercise number 9, become a double or triple threat. Now what does this mean? A single threat is someone who has one skill. So if you only know how to write copy, learn how to use Photoshop, learn how to use Google Drawings, basically learn how to make images, or maybe learn some basic video editing so you can also create videos. If you're only a copywriter in this world and can only make text, then you are at a severe disadvantage. This is because nowadays we have phones and desktops and internet where images and videos are as big a part of the internet as text is. So if you can make text and images and video, you are now a triple threat, and you are able to communicate information in more mediums, in more ways, better, faster, more efficiently than a single threat person. So those are some of my best copywriting exercise tips I have for you. It's 9 very simple things. A lot of them you could do mentally in your head. They require no time at all, no equipment, very simple to do. And some of them, like buying earplugs, is a matter of $5. So these are some really great copywriting exercises. I hope you use them on a daily basis. For years, I would use all of these all the time, and it really, really made a big difference in my career. So I hope that you take these and do something with them and learn from them. And I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you did, like, subscribe, watch the other videos, read the other articles, and I will talk to you later. This is Neville Medora. Thank you.